Hi everyone, Mike Lambo here. I'm going to just run through my sci-fi and fantasy games to date as at the 9th of September 2025. It's getting a bit cumbersome for me to do videos going through every single one of my games, but I know people do like and find useful the videos that kind of just summarise them quite quickly when you're trying to decide maybe which game to get for the first time or the one you want to get next. So I'm going to split them up a little. So this video is, as I say, about sci-fi and fantasy games. My latest science fiction game is Battle of the Cyborgs. It's available in spiral bound format from lulu.com. Normal binding, it can be found on Amazon, and you can download them all from War Game Vault as usual. Just be aware the Amazon one is not spiral bound. You've got to go to lulu.com because they're the only ones I know that do that. Helps it just lay flatter than the Amazon one, though they do all lay flat. Oh, so Battle of the Cyborgs is very much a hex and counter game, you can see here. They're all solitaire, by the way, my games. Has a turn counter, the counters are in the back. It works in a similar way as some of my war games, such as Battles of Napoleonic Europe and Battles of the American Civil War, whereby it's a kind of you go, I go system in zones. So you roll dice to see which zones you can activate. You've got some re-roll capacity, and then you move and fire and so on, and the enemy does the same, and the game controls the enemy for you in that sense. So in terms of difficulty, that's a kind of mid-range one for me. Remember, none of my games are particularly complex, but there is some degree of difference between them all, of course. They all run on different systems, or slightly different systems in some cases, but quite different in others. This one is probably, so I say, sort of mid-range. You've got 20 pages or so of rules, but they're they're very easy to read, but they're fairly large print, and there are lots of examples and diagrams and things, so pretty good one to start with if you're into sci-fi. Probably of similar kind of complexity, maybe slightly simpler perhaps, is Spiders from Outer Space. Not available in coil, this one, but you can get it on Amazon in standard, and again in download from War Game Vault. As ever, counters in the back. And this has the graphics have been updated, by the way, since this one, so they're more modern looking than this, but slightly better looking. This has your team of sort of 3 to 5, I think it is, maybe 2 to 5 heroes, if you like. So yeah, there's 5 you've got here, and you can choose them randomly each time, so you get a different playthrough on each map. And you're moving through trying to do missions and so on, and these giant spiders from outer space have landed, and they'll be chasing you around as you go on here. So a different system to the other one, and say you're trying to achieve objectives and then escape from the various maps, with each of your heroes having slightly different special abilities, different weapons and so on. So that's quite an interesting one. Again, another good one to start with. Outpost is more of a sort of worker placement and kind of States of Siege sort of game. So here you've got 4 heroes and a robot who you're controlling within the outpost, within this space station, if you like. And you have aliens which are approaching down these tracks. You can fend them off with attacks. Some of your guys are better at doing that than others. Once the spiders are in, they will then chase after your guys. There are other things you can do, and there's research you have to do to win. So once you've done research, and then start killing the aliens, they disappear altogether. Until that point, when you kill them, they just go back to the start of their track, and so you're fending them off while you're researching, and then when you finish your research, you know how to kill them effectively, and then they disappear. But so there's other special abilities and things you can do and actions you can take in the meantime. So you can put up shields to protect the outpost, for example, and 1 or 2 of the guys have special personal weapons which they can use once the aliens are inside the outpost. So playing together, the robot, as I say, is there, which can be reactivated once it's been killed. So it's quite a useful thing to have around. And again, you're choosing, I think, 3 out of the 4 each time you play. So you get a different playthrough as you go. Some are better at defending, some are better at research. That's Outpost. Got a slightly different cover now as well. The graphics on that one haven't been updated because I quite like the cartoony style. So that's still as it is there. But the cover does look slightly different. Astro Tank, again, not one that I've updated. In terms of graphics, I quite like the way that looks in any event, although one day I might do that. If I do, I always put the maps on Board Game Geek to download, so you can always get hold of them later if you need them. But I've no immediate plans to update that one, so don't let that put you off. This is based on my Lone Sherman war game, which you may have heard of. It's a similar system to that, but set in a sci-fi setting. So the enemies are obviously alien based. You've got flying saucers and alien tanks coming at you, as well as alien infantry and these kind of huge dinosaur type creatures. You have 3 guys inside your Astro Tank with life, so they lose life as they get injured, and they're again carrying out certain actions which you roll dice for to determine what you can do with those various actions in terms of moving the tank around and firing. And when it's attacked, it can catch fire, so you can extinguish the fire. You have shield. It has a defensive shield which gets depleted as it gets attacked, as the tank gets attacked. So you can build your shields back up, and all kinds of other stuff going on. There are end of turn events there as well, just to add a bit of randomness into the mix. So again, plays well, plays differently each time you play. Lots of different maps to choose from with their own objectives and things. So lots of variety. This is, I should have said Outpost is probably, again, these are all similar, these 3 probably. In fact, these 4 probably all similar. Maybe Astro Tank is slightly more complex, but not hugely so. So that's my sci-fi range to date. As they all available on Amazon. 1 is available in coil bound. Hope to get the others on there at some point. In terms of fantasy, Quest for the Brave was my first one, which is based on my Beaches for the Brave war game. Very simple dice chucker, dice placement. So there are no counters for this one. The idea is you just use any old, you just need 6 counters basically. Yeah, so anything will do that kind of fits within these. I've seen people, within these spaces. I've seen people use cubes, buttons, tiddlywinks, even figures, little figures on there. Some people use. You can blow these maps up if you want. If you've got the ability to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter really what you use. Same for the enemies. Just using cubes or whatever. You don't need to differentiate between them. They all tend to be the same if there are any enemies coming towards you, which not all maps have, but some do. And the idea is you have to work your way up the 6 columns by placing your dice accordingly. When you roll them, you place dice, and that does different things to the various units as you move up. And as you get hit, you lose people, but you can sometimes bring them back. And you have to, at certain points, you can attack, mainly these purple arrows. You can attack the boss at the top of each map. And the idea is you kill the boss as you get there before you lose all your guys, and you have to eliminate the life. There are 1 or 2 other things going on. There are some that don't have the boss at the top, like this one, for example. And there's this one where you're kind of chasing around and you're trying to eliminate the boss in the centre there. So another one here where you are being chased and you have to get to the safety of this little island here on this frozen lake before the monster that's chasing you catches you up, which is quite different. A couple of those, I think, in there. So 12 altogether. I say very simple. The rules probably only run to 10, 11 pages. So you'll be up and running with that one in no time. Remember, all my games on my YouTube channel, on this channel, have playthroughs, so you can see me doing instructional playthroughs. If you're ever unsure about the rules, just watch those and you'll see what's going on. 2 of my best sellers are fantasy games. Finally, these are my latest 2 fantasy games, which are quite chunky, actually, quite chunky. Not particularly complex, but there's quite a lot in there to get your head around, quite a lot to do, but really still quite straightforward. So we've got Salacia 1, which is the Wizard of Doom. So these work in a campaign mode. There are 14 quests in each of these, but a campaign will have you only playing 5 of those, randomly chosen each time, so lots of variety again. And the idea is you get through to your 5th quest, and then you have to face, in this case, the Wizard of Doom. You have 4 heroes here, which will give you lots of variety in how they work. You take all 4 with you on the mission, on each quest, I should say, but they have different abilities and so on, as you'd expect. Here you've got warrior, elf, thief, and mage. So there's magic here, there's leveling up. You find things in chests which help you to improve your heroes as you go. A whole range of different monsters coming after you, and they all have their own way of behaving, and again the game controls that for you. So here you've got dragons and spiders, ice ogres, biting bushes, you've got skeletons, wizards, ghosts, bats, orc archers, orc warriors, all kinds of things. And again, they're drawn randomly as you play, so each playthrough will be very different with that one. So it's been popular, very popular. So maybe have a look at that one if you're into fantasy. And the follow-up was Salacia 2, the Ice Demon, which is similar in the way it works, but this time you're venturing through a frozen land. You've got 4 different heroes. This time you've got Worf, who's a sort of fighter, Erica, who's a spear person. You've got Tooth, it's a kind of giant sort of saber-tooth monster that's with you. And you've got the Mystic, which she kind of does magic, but slightly different to the mage in the first game. The heroes are interchangeable, so you can use these in the previous game and the other ones in this game. You can even mix and match your heroes between the 2 books. You got, again, different enemies in this one. The enemies don't change, you can't mix and match those there. The enemies stick to their particular book, because the book controls the enemy, of course. It needs to know what it's controlling. But certainly mixing up those heroes together with their power-ups or the things they find in chests does give you lots of variety to try. And again, there are 14 quests in here, 5 make up the overall campaign. Rules are nicely set out again, lots of examples as they are in Salacia 1, and they are available in Spiral Bound, as you can see, but also in standard binding on Amazon, downloadable from Wargame Vault. You take your choice as to where you wish to get them. Say that's sci-fi and fantasy for now, and they all have playthrough videos, instructional playthrough videos on my YouTube channel. So if there's any there that stand out of interesting to you, please do seek out and watch the appropriate video. Thanks guys.